Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for attending this online workshop today. Let me tell you a little bit about the goals and about why we are doing this. Well, and also first I will introduce myself. I hope the settings and the sound and everything is working all right. I have my new friend here, Jerry, who is going to be helping me for today's workshop. So let me just give a little bit of a background of this. So, well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alfredo, and I'm associate professor in the Department of Early Childhood Education. And this session today has a little bit of a funny story behind, right? So I was planning to train a couple of new research assistant and students to Endnote, which is a tool that I always use for my own research. So initially I was planning to do this sort of training workshop just for them, for 3 or 4 people. And then at some point I decided to maybe invite also my colleagues and see if anybody else in my department would like to learn how to use Endnote. And I just extended the invitation to a few friends. And then some colleagues in my department just proposed, why don't we just offer it to everybody in the department? And I was like, oh, sure, why not? And then in the end, we decided to offer this as a DRHDC workshop through my colleagues in the Department of Early Childhood to all the faculty. So anyway, so before I start, so I just would like to, well, first of all, like thanks to my colleagues in the department for allowing me to share this. And also, I just want to say I'm really not an expert in Endnote, right? So I am just a user. I use it all the time for my work, and I think it's very useful. And because I really think it's very, very useful, I wanted to just share with my students and research assistant. And I really am very happy to share this with everybody today and see if this can be helpful. So all I'm going to do is try to just give an introduction of the kinds of things that we can do with Endnote. At the same time, by the way, I am recording. Am I recording the session? Yes, we are. We are recording, right? Sorry, because we are recording. So one of the things I wanted to do is to record the session, to have this to share later with other people, because I don't like to repeat the same story over and over again. So anyway, so you guys can also feel free to share and share with your students or anybody. We are now 31 people connected, so I'm happy to share with 31 colleagues. Anyway, so let me just tell you a little bit very briefly of what I am going to do. So this is going to be the roadmap of today. First, I'm going to talk about what Endnote is, and then I'm going to explain how to link to Word. Then I'm going to explain different ways of entering our bibliographic resources into Endnote, how to enter attachments, how to use the search function, how to cite while we are writing, how to convert to plain text, and then share libraries. And then we will have some time for question and answers. I wanted to propose, because we only have an hour for this, I wanted to propose to leave all the questions until the end. So if anybody has questions, please take note. And then when we have the time for question and answers, I will be asking you guys. And then it would be great if you guys can give us some feedback on the workshop, right? Keeping in mind that this is something that we have organized, we decided to do on Thursday last week, right? Sorry about the rush, but it's like, I just wanted to do this soon to train my students. And then in the end, it became a bigger thing. So let's get started. So through some of the things I'm going to go very briefly, right? So what is Endnote? So Endnote is a commercial reference management software package. Is produced by Clarivate Analytics. There are many similar software packages, right, that do the same thing. One is Endnote, but there are many others, right? Zotero, there are actually RepWorks, there are lots. Some of them are free, some of them are commercial. For this one, you have to pay. Here, I'm sharing with you what's the name of this? The website of Endnote. Endnote costs around 2,000 Hong Kong dollars, 2,149. And if you are a student, it costs around 997. For me, it's absolutely worth it, right? So of course I have no interest, no commercial interest here. I don't make any money. I just want to share with you how this works, right? But I make no money by doing this. I think that is incredibly useful, as I say right here, to manage your bibliographies and your references, and it helps you save a lot of time when you're writing a paper, especially when you're writing your dissertation, your thesis, or everything, a large document. It always saves a lot of time, right? So here I will pass you later these two links. I mean, you can just Google. If someone would like to try, there is also like a free trial for 30 days, right? So yeah, so this is, you can just get more information from here. If someone in the end decides to buy EndNote, one of the things you need to do is to link your EndNote with your Word. This is a little bit like, there are some steps. Instead of explaining this myself, what I thought I would just share with you this link, and you just basically follow these steps on how to link your EndNote with Word. And basically, once you link, you will be able to see, here is a screenshot that I took. I'm just indicating with my mouse. You see my mouse moving, right? So once you link your EndNote with your Word, you will see something that, like what I see right here, EndNote X9, with all the functions of EndNote. So I will be explaining some of these things as I go, as I move around, right? So EndNote, this is the little icon of EndNote that I have here, NE, right? So an EndNote looks something like this, right? You can still see my screen, correct? So I will explain throughout this hour, I will explain these different things and how to use it, right? So EndNote is a library, basically. Here you have all my stuff, all my things that I have been like putting together over the years. So in total, right now, I have 3,000, as you can see over here, all references. I have 3,882 sources, different kinds of things, books, journals, journal articles, etc. So many kinds of things. So today I'm going to be just going step by step, showing you the most important things to see the functionalities, right? And how you can use it, right? So the first thing I want to cover is how to enter new resources. For those of you guys who are a student and you start using EndNote, for those of you who are students, I would encourage you guys to start using this as soon as possible, because everything you write, you will enter it as a new resource, and slowly you will have in a few years thousands of resources like I do. So I'm gonna just tell you very briefly, I mean, different ways of entering bibliographic resources. One of them is manually, right? So manually is probably the worst, because it's very tedious and you have to go entering the little things step by step, but still I think it's useful to learn. So I have put together here this fake journal article. So I'm gonna tell you how to enter. So when you want to enter a new reference, you have this layout of EndNote. So you would go to references, and then you want to enter a new reference, right? So for you to see here, you have a bunch of different fields, right? So different fields of information you could enter. The first thing you need to select is what kind of bibliographic resource you want to enter. So as you can see here, there are millions of types, right? So we are going to enter a journal article, which is the most common. So we select journal article. So EndNote is very useful, but it's in a way, an EndNote is very dumb, right? So you're gonna just enter information. So you need to respect a very clear format to enter the information well, so that EndNote understands what you are entering. So what I'm gonna do is like, I'm just gonna start entering this fake journal article step by step, and I'm gonna tell you how to do it, right? So the way to enter the authors is like this, right? It's always, you need to do it like this. So it could be first surname, comma, the initial, second surname, comma, initial, third surname, comma, initial. So it doesn't really matter if you put a period or not. If you say, for example, first surname, comma, Alfredo, second surname, comma, Beatrice. Later, I'll show you how it looks, right? So there are different names, different ways. So the important thing is that you do first name with a capital letter, comma, and then either the full first name or the initial, and you can put a period or not. It doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna say fourth, comma, D. without the period. And later you will see how it works. Year, for example, we are going to enter 2020. And then this one, title. So these are just the basic items of information that you need to enter when you are entering a journal article. So the title of this is words in the title in lowercase unless it's a proper name, for example, Hong Kong. So as you notice, the first letter is in capital, but then the others need to go in lowercase. But of course, if you enter a city or if you enter a country or if you enter some like a name, that needs to go in capital letters, as you can see here, Hong Kong, right? Journal, for the journal, it needs to be like this. It needs to be like journal name capitalized. So the first one is capital. The volume, let's say 3, this is the basic info that you are going to say later on written. Issue, let's say, so volume 31, for example, issue 4, 3, pages 333, 356, and then the VOI. So as you can see, these are the basic, sort of the basic information. This is the basic information that you are going to see later on in the reference written. So you need to enter all of these things. These are compulsory. Because if you don't enter this, it's going to be incomplete, right? So we have entered all of these things. Just remember how I've entered on the format. First surname, comma, name, second surname, comma, blah, blah, blah. So notice that we have been entering the first name a little differently. 2020, the title, keeping in mind that only the first word should be capitalized and also capitalize the words that are proper names. The name of the journal like this, then the volume, the issue, the pages, and the VOI. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close, and EndNote asks me, save the changes to record. I say, yes, save. So this is the way to save. You're not saving, you just save when you close, right? So I just close, and then where did it copy this thing? So, okay, so I can't find it. So what I'm gonna do is first, perfect. Look, so this is what happens. So as you can see down here, this is how EndNote has produced this information that I have entered. First name, comma A, second surname, comma B, third surname, comma C, and fourth, comma D. If you guys remember, we have entered the names a little bit differently, but EndNote understands that it's just the name, right? So of course, if you enter this wrong, and I'm gonna be very clear with this. So if you enter this wrong, if you enter this information wrong, look, I'm just changing. EndNote doesn't understand anything. EndNote is just a machine. So EndNote is just going to produce whatever you enter. So if you enter it wrong, look, now I'll close, save, and see what is gonna happen here. Of course it's wrong because I entered the information wrong, right? So this is very important, right? Depending on how we enter the information, we are going to be retrieving the information later on. So let me now do a proper example, which is another paper. Probably I don't need to do it, but just it takes me a second. So we just to recap. So we have a note. So we do reference, new reference, and then I'll say, this is typically how I do it because it's faster. So I just copy the whole thing and then I start moving. So you see, you just put first the last name, comma, the initial, and always the same way. And then all of this delete. It is very important, by the way, that here you don't leave any space. If look at what I'm doing now here. If I enter a lot of spaces, space, this is going to show, the spaces are going to be shown later on. So it's very important that you remove all the spaces. You can even remove the period. So you need to make sure that there's no space, because if you put the space is gonna show. So when you enter the year, by the way, in the year, you do not put any parentheses, right? So what I'm doing is simply just copy pasting the whole thing several times. So again, I just remove all of these. So for example, in this example that I'm putting now, arts related pedagogy, blah, blah, blah. This A is wrong, actually should be small. Asian, I would put it in capitals, right? Because it's a proper name. So I would put it in capitals. After the title, no period in the end. So here you do not need to put period. Journal, Early Childhood Research Quarterly. You see each letter is capitalized. Early Childhood Research Quarterly. Volume, okay, volume 5. So what I'm doing now is pasting and deleting, right? As simple as that. I don't know if I'm putting any of the information wrong, but it's fine. It's just an example. So pages. So the pages is like the 3 numbers, dash and the other numbers, and then the DOI. So these are the basic, this is the basic information you will need, right? So you say close, and when you're gonna close, save, and you see the reference here. This is the full reference. So I'm gonna now show what happens if you enter a bunch of spaces. If you enter a bunch of spaces here, for example, or here, again, EndNote is a machine, so EndNote doesn't understand what you are entering. Let's see what's gonna happen. It shows actually fine. No, but this, I know that this gives problems for some reason. I don't know. Here it shows all right, but supposedly it's not. Anyways, so this is the basic information that you will enter. Of course, this is wrong, right? So you need to put after the comma, you enter a space, and then here. This is the way. So this is just an example of how to enter a journal article. Another very common type of resource that you might enter is a book, right? So again, I'm gonna use this fake example of a book with 5 or 6 authors, right? So I'm going to copy, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna say reference, new reference, and then I'm gonna tell EndNote that I am now entering a book, because the fields that EndNote gives you are different depending on the kind of resource that you are entering. All right, so the same thing, authors. So the same logic, right? So first surname, comma A, comma B, third surname, comma C. This is just like fourth, comma D, 6, there are 6 authors. Here, note that I don't put and or anything. I just simply enter the names of the authors, comma, the last name, and the initial. Year, anything. Title. Another example, I wrote another example where we capitalize United States of America. Of course, United States of America needs to be in the first letter, it needs to be big. And then we need to definitely enter the city and the place where this is published. So the format to enter this correctly is city, comma, country or state. New York is NY or Spain or whatever country. And then the publisher. I'm just writing the publisher is publisher A, for example. Note that I never enter any periods. I am never entering periods unless it's a period in the middle of the title, then yes, or if it's a semicolon, then yes, I will enter a period, right? Later, I will explain you guys how to attach the PDF here, because there's a way to leave the PDF in the document, right? So, but the basic information that we need for a book to be shown properly is the authors with this format, the year with this format, the title, as I have explained, and then the place published and the publisher, any name, right? So you can write whatever you want. I'm gonna write something very funny so that you see how this will reflect, right? So now I say close and then save. And you will see how this shows. You see, I have typed something really weird. Publisher is all of this. So whatever you enter is gonna be here. So that's why you need to be very careful when you enter all of this information, right? So, so here is a real book. So I'm gonna enter this one. So what I'm doing, for those of you who have never used EndNote, if you decide to start using it, one of the ways in which you can start entering your own references, the one that you already have, is like this. You just go to the reference and copy and start this whole process. So you have here the whole layout, and you come to references, new, and then you go to author. And what I do generally is I just copy the whole thing and start pasting and deleting, right? Always making sure that you don't leave any spaces in the middle. So the 2 authors, the year is 1987, Note that I never leave any space or any parentheses or anything. The title, the psychology of written composition, I delete all the periods. You see, I was making a mistake because I was entering this as a journal article, but this is a book. So I need to go here and change and say, hey, this is a book. So you see the fields are gonna change slightly. So you need to know, basically this is practice, right? So you will fight with Endnote. Sometimes Endnote makes the mistakes and you don't understand why. There is always a logic. So it will take a little time until you find out. Today, I'm just explaining the most basic things. So the fields are different depending on the kind of the resource. So because I am entering a book, so I have to enter these things, and then I have to enter the place where it's published in this format, the city, comma, and in this case is the state, New Jersey, and then the publisher without period, right? So I just, another thing you could do is save the PDF, but that I'm gonna explain later. So then I save, and the way you see it is just like this, as you see here. This is what I have entered. So what I suggest is that when you are entering new references, the first place where you check how it looks is here. Because if you see mistakes here, definitely you will see mistakes later on when you are using Word, right, to enter your references. And finally, another very common type of resource that you may be entering is a book chapter. So I'm gonna do the same, and I'm gonna tell you how to enter a book chapter. This one is a little, well, it's easy anyways. It's a little bit something you need to do a little change. So again, you come here, reference, new reference, and then the first thing you need to say is what kind of resource you are entering. So book chapter is called book section. So you come here and click on book section, and then you start just the whole process. Bautista, comma, A, Chua, Wong, and then I remove the end and Tan, right? So the authors, perfect, right? So making sure that there are no spaces. To make sure that there's no spaces, probably you can also, no, you see sometimes Endnote offers you suggestions. So now it's fine because there's no spaces. The year is 2019, and then the title is you see, this is another example. Development video for Singapore. This is why this is capital, music teachers. So, so then this is now a little bit tricky, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because in the proper citations in APA format for the editors of a book, you notice that the way that the initials are entered are before the last name. But in Endnote, it's always in the same format as the authors, right? So what I'm going to do to enter this is place editors. Where is editors? Here, editors. So the way to do this is like this. So you just have to swap the initials. You have to put the initials properly. Let me show you. So it should be Retnowati, comma, E. So I delete the rest. And then Suparto, comma, M. Dot A. Note when there are two initials, by the way, you need to leave a space in the middle so that it shows well, right? So you see that I'm leaving this space in the middle because if you don't leave it, if I remember correctly in APA, there is a space in the middle. All right, so Jerusalem, comma, J. So what I'm doing, the only thing I'm doing is like I'm just moving the initials to the right place according to Endnote. And this one, comma, W. Okay. Okay, so now I have the title up to here. The editors, I have already entered the editors. Okay, I'll delete all of it. So then the book title, innovative. Okay, so here's something I don't know, I should check. So if I remember correctly, in APA, when you cite a book title, if I remember correctly, they capitalize the initials. I'm not 100% sure, apologies for this, but if I remember correctly, in APA, you have to capitalize the initials. This is why the initials here are capitalized. So you need to enter it properly. If I remember correctly, it's capitalized, but please don't quote me on this. So the pages go here. So I need to enter the pages, no parentheses, no nothing. And then we need the city, which is the place published with no semicolon or anything, and then the publisher, which is here we delete all the extra stuff. Publisher is Routledge. All right, so what do we need for a book section? The authors, the year, the title, the editors, book title, place published, publisher, and pages. So again, I close and save. And what do we get? Here, we get this, right? So later when I'm working on Word, this is exactly how it's gonna look in Word. So if there is any mistakes, you need to fix it here. This is something that I will explain later. All right, sorry, I'm going a little bit fast, right? Because I would like to cover different things. Later you can refer to the video. Okay, so now I explain how to enter the references manually. Disadvantages, of course, is time consuming because you have to do a lot of copy, paste, delete, blah, blah, blah. You can make mistakes. And then one of the problems is when you do this manually, you actually have very little information about that bibliographic source, because the only thing I'm entering is just the basic information to see the reference properly, right? But I'm not entering the abstract, I'm not entering the keywords, I'm not entering anything. All I'm entering is the basic info to see the reference properly. So the point is that if you download this resource from a database, the information is going to be imported automatically, which is a lot better, right? Because all of a sudden you have everything here except for the PDF. So what I'm gonna do now is that what I'm gonna explain is how to import automatically bibliographic resources from a database. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to a database. If you already know the paper that you're looking for, you need to go to the database, find the paper, and basically you are gonna be telling, hey, bring this to my EndNote. So here I put an example. So you just have it. So you just go here, I just click on this. So this is now a journal, and I am interested in this paper because I already know, and I know that I want exactly this paper. So the different journals and the different databases are gonna all look a little bit different, but you just have to just figure out where exactly you can download the reference, right? So once you're here, you have to find something that looks like this little corner. So you just click on this one, and then, okay, so you say download citation. So when you say download citation, you need to select the proper format. And you see, I just click on this, and all of a sudden I see EndNote. So I will say, yes, download the citation in EndNote. So I will download, and all of a sudden you see here in my screen on this little corner, so it has downloaded the EndNote citation. So what I would do is open. So the magic here is all of a sudden, you see here in blue, it has downloaded not only the basic information, but it has downloaded a lot more stuff. As you can see, it has downloaded automatically all the abstract. It has downloaded the keywords. It has the URL. It has downloaded a few more things, right? The DOI, everything, right? One thing that it has not, well, one thing that you need to be careful when you do this is that for some reason that I still don't get to understand, you will need to edit the title, because right now, if you see the way that they have downloaded the title, it has these first letters capital. So you need to edit yourself, and you need to change to minor case, elective music courses. So you need to read it. Unless it's something like Miami, for example, in Miami over here, you are not going to change it because Miami needs to be capital, right? So you will have to change all these things manually. Courses, middle, etc., etc. So this is much better, right? Because you just download automatically everything, and especially because there is this additional information that is being downloaded automatically for you, which is going to be very helpful later on when you do search it. This is something that I will explain in a minute. And one thing that you can also do, and you should also do when you are working with your EndNote, is not only this, also is like download the PDF of this article and store the PDF in your EndNote, because you will have it forever, basically. So I'm going to explain how to do it. So this is the journal again, and here we have download PDF. So I just download the PDF, save it in my, so I will save it in my desktop, and I will say Yes, put it in my desktop, 02. Typically it's better when you put the name of the authors, author and author 1 and author 2, 2020. I'm just inventing, right? So save. So perfect. So I have it already on my desktop. And now I come back to the paper. This is the same paper that I just downloaded. So if you go here, there's this little clip. So which is the clip to attach a file. So you can attach as many files as you want actually, but so all you need to do is find the resource that you want to put, which is this one, author 1 and author 2, open, and all of a sudden you will just have the PDF here forever. Forever basically, and it's very nice because it's like you will have all your resources very neatly organized, and if you make changes, everything will be here. By the way, if at some point you are reading the paper and you want to start making comments and reflections or whatever, you can use any of these fields to enter your own comments or whatever. I don't know, it's in here there's one called notes, as you can see over here, so you can type. So it's very, very useful, right? So now what we have done is we have added the PDF. There are many functions, right? I'm just explaining the basic things. If you read the paper, there's one thing here, for example, called rating. This is to rate how the quality of the paper. So if you think it's a 5-star quality or a 1-star, so you just can change the rating depending on how much you like the paper, right? So there are many functionalities that you can explore, right? But I'm just explaining the most basic things. So, okay, so I'm saving and I say save. And all of a sudden, you see, not only here is the paper that I have downloaded online, here is the reference, how I would see it in APA format, and here is the PDF. So you can see it here. So, I mean, it's incredibly useful because you just have all together, right? So if you're, oh, someone needs to mute your microphone, please, because I can hear. All right, so very good. So what I have now explained is how to look for bibliographic resources from a database in the case that you already know the paper that you are looking for. And as I said, often when you download, you will need to correct the title and you will need to put the little letters differently, right? So you will need to change from uppercase to lowercase. Cool. So now I'm going to move on to how to download many papers all at once when you are doing a literature review. This is definitely the best because this saves you a lot of time. Basically, when you are doing any review, so you are new to a topic and you are in the library, so you are just basically downloading a lot of resources all at once. I just need to mute somebody who is unmuted. Well, for now it's not very noisy. So if you're working on a database, so for example, we are in Citing or anything. So imagine, I'm just gonna give an example. I'm doing my lead review and I'm interested in papers related to teacher personality. And I'm interested in work in Hong Kong. And I'm interested also in, beliefs, something like that. Yes. So I'm just searching and I just get a million resources. So I have all these million things and I start looking and I say, oh, wow, this one looks interesting, click. And I go down, oh, this one also looks interesting, click. And also this one looks interesting. And this one, and this one, and this one. Sorry, I'm just doing something very quickly. And then I say, okay, I have selected all of these, as many as you want, right? So then you say, okay, now you click on this little button here called folder. This is definitely the best way to do this, right? Because it saves you a lot of time. So I have selected 7 resources. And then you can say, you can take a look, blah, 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 and you are interested in all 7. So you just select all 7. So I have selected all the items. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to say export. Again, this looks different in all the different databases, but all the different databases have the same functions. So now I say, okay, export all of these. And now we will need to select in which format we want this to be, we want to export this, right? So we have here, save citations to a file formatted for, and if I remember correctly, the one we need to select is this one, direct export in REIS format. You see that it mentions EndNote. This is, you see here that there is EndNote web, but this is different because what I'm explaining today is how to use the application. There is another version of EndNote that I think is free, that is just web. I don't use this one. The one I'm explaining is the one that you purchase basically. Anyway, so you select these and then I say save. And all of a sudden, the same thing that we did earlier happens. So we have delivery to right here in this corner, and I just click and open. And the magic now is that we have all these new 7 papers here, right? So of course, when we have all the information, but we don't have the PDFs, right? So you would have to, what I would recommend is like every time that you do this, then you have to go one by one and editing. Sometimes you need to do some editing. Editing, especially in the title. Sometimes you need to, for example, English. English is fine. As a second language, I don't know if this is an acronym. Maybe you need to respect the capitals. This one seems fine. The university, the good thing when you do it this way is, as you can see here on my screen, is that all the information is already good. You have all the keywords, you have all the abstract, the URL, you have everything. What you don't have is the PDF. I'm just going to add another PDF like randomly so that you remember how to do it. So you would go to attach file, and then you select the whatever document you want to attach. This is not the proper one, but it's just an example. So you just put it and then close. And all of a sudden, you just have your, you see, these are the 7 resources that we have downloaded right now. Here you see the little clip, because this one has the PDF. The others don't have, right? So you will have to, if you want to keep it, you need to enter it yourself, right? Cool. So it saves a lot of time, basically, right? Great. So another thing I wanted to share is that when you work with EndNote, you can also create groups and save the results of your lit review in a specific folder. So for example, imagine that we have done this lit review, we have these 7 papers, and we need to have a specific folder for this lit review that we have done. So I'm going to just do right click, and I would say create a group, and I'm going to call it fake lit review, right? So of course this move here. So all of a sudden this fake lit review is empty. So all I have to do is that I need to drag all of these papers that we have. I lost them. I should have created the group before. But anyways, so in this fake lit review, we can start bringing some of the papers that we have selected. I'm just going to do something randomly, right? So you just drag them from here and you say, okay, this belongs to fake lit review. So I'm going to put it here. You see, now we have 1. Also, this one belongs to fake lit review. And now we have 2, etc. Right? So this is actually very useful because it allows you to be very systematic with your readings, and you know, it's a way that you yourself select and classify the different resources that you have. So as you can see here in my EndNote, I have a bunch of different groups. Sorry, I'm gonna just click a bunch of them just to show you how to do this. For some reason, my computer goes very slow. It goes very slow. I'm trying to do things too fast. Sorry, guys. It doesn't matter, right? So the number keeps growing and growing, right? So the more you enter, it just goes very slow. So I have a bunch of different groups, right? So I've been working with different colleagues or in different papers or in different projects. So sometimes it's useful to have these kind of groups. All right, so now, so I've shared this with you, and then attachments. Attachments, I already told you how to add the attachments. So this is gonna be an easy one because I already explained. Something important is that you can attach more than one file in each entry, right? So something I find very useful is when I'm, for example, publishing a paper, and I am finishing my paper and the paper is published in the journal, etc. So what I like to do is that I always save in the EndNote my final Word version, sort of the final Word that it was accepted for publication. So I always find it very useful to store the final Word, because if not, it will get lost for sure. And also I upload the final PDF done by the journal. Sometimes I also upload the proofs that the journal sent me. And I also tend to upload the contract, the agreement signed with the publisher. So I keep in the same entry like 4 or 5 documents, right? So I don't know, I don't think there's a limit. So you can store as many files as you want. So for example, this is just to show you how it looks. So this one is Bautista. Let me just show you how it looks. And I explain a few more things. So for example, that paper that I was just showing is here. So just to show how it looks, so it would be, yeah, so 4 attachments in the same place. So it's actually very handy because every time I need something, I have everything very accessible, right? So it allows you to be very systematic in storing all the information. Cool. Another thing I wanted to describe is this search function, which I already used before. So this search function is great for people with a terrible memory like me. I read something today and tomorrow I don't even remember what I have read. So it's good for me to allow me to remember things that I have read and stored. So this allows you to retrieve your prior readings instantly based on the parameters that you have entered and the information that you have within each reading. So the more information you have, the more likely is that you will find it later on. So imagine, for example, so the search function is right here, right? So once you have EndNote installed and everything, so you have this. So here is the search function. So for example, say that I want to find all the papers authored by Conway, for example. So I just type Conway and in authors, click, and all of a sudden I have all the papers written by Conway. I want to find all the papers that I have on my database related to teacher education. Of course, that's not going to be as author. That's going to be maybe in the title. But maybe I want to find papers that in the keywords have the term beliefs, right? So there's nothing, teachers. Now, it's of course, because I said year. So if I say abstract, teacher education, and keyword beliefs. So here you specify the parameters that you are looking for, right? So this is why the more information you have, so if you download these papers from a database, it's going to be downloaded with the keywords, with the keywords, with the abstract, with everything. So it's going to have a lot more information. If you just enter the information yourself, you are only going to enter the title. So of course, it would be better to have a lot more information when you do it. So basically this search function allows you to find everything that you have stored, right? So you can say, find something that I have, and in the title, we have the term beliefs. So you see, so I already have all the stuff here where the term beliefs appear. Okay, this is too much. So give me something that also in the abstract has the term teacher. You see, so now less, of course. So it allows you to start focusing on, you see, in my database right now, I have 3,000 and something resources. So of course, I have a lot of stuff. So, and you see, for some of them I have the PDFs, for some of them I don't have, etc. So this search function really allows you to be really quick in finding your stuff. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the most exciting part, which is the part called Cite as you write, right? So I'm gonna give you some examples. Just for you to know, right, I want to show you this part called references. Note that right now in my Word document, this part is empty. I have nothing right now, right? So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna come back here, Cite as you, so things I wanna show you now. So yeah, so note that the reference section is now empty. So I'm gonna tell you how to, when you are typing, I'm typing here, I'm writing my paper, and then as I'm writing, so then I will want to cite, for for example, I am here and I say, I want to cite this paper, which is by one author. So I just click, and then I come here, go to Endnote, and I say to Endnote, insert citation, and all of a sudden, this lamb, you see, will come here. So I have here lamb. Very good. If you go to the reference, all of a sudden I have the lamb written here. Great. So is lamb in parentheses. I continue typing, blah, blah, blah. Very good. And now I want to cite again lamb, but lamb is going to be not in parentheses. Lamb is going to start the sentence. Lamb found out. So I just do right click with the mouse, and I have to go to edit citation. So this is very important. In edit citation, you can select the format of the citation. So one of the displays is author and then the year in parentheses. So if I select this one, you see this is going to change. Lamb found that, right? So it's the same thing, right? Of course, because it's the same thing, it's going to appear. Oh, how come? This is wrong. This should appear only once. It's the same thing. Sorry, this is giving me, this is wrong. I don't know why it's citing so many times. This is fully wrong. It should appear only once. Maybe update. Let's see what happens. I just was trying to show that it appears only one time, but I don't know. This has never happened in my computer. All right, it should appear only one time unless I'm finding something weird. Anyways, so it really should appear once because it's the same format unless I have selected many things, but no, I have selected only one. It's just wrong. All right, so this is when you are citing with one author. All right, so now imagine that I want to cite, yes, so I wanted to show you with different formats. Now I want to also tell you how to cite different things together. So now I want to cite this resource and this one and this one. I want to cite these three things, right? So I just come here, I just have selected the three things, the three resources I want to cite. I come back here and I do exactly the same. And I say, insert selected citations. So all of a sudden, I just have all of them here, right? Imagine, for example, that you realize, oh, I forgot, I should have also cited this other person. So you just select this other person and come here, any space, and you say also insert this one. So it's going to add then the next one that we just added, right? I really don't know why it's entering so many times. Good, so imagine, for example, that here, for example, we have cited this source with 1, 2, 3, 4 authors, Landry, Swan, Anthony, So as probably you guys, all of you know, when you cite for a second time as a resource with several authors, the next time you just put et al, right? So Landry, Swan, Landry, I think should be this one. Yes. So I'm gonna cite again the same one that I already cited. And the magic is that now, is it the same one or is it different? Jesus, my EndNote is doing very awkward things today. This should now write et al because it's the second time I do it. Unless, let me see. You see? Okay, it was a different Landry. So now that I'm citing this for a second time, EndNote already knows that, hey, you have been citing this already. So the second time that it appears, it should be et al, right? Very good. So basically you keep writing, and then this should be, it has corrected this already, right? So lamb appears only once, and then all the stuff that we have cited, actually no, it appears many times. I don't know why this is doing this. You see sometimes EndNote that's strange things that it will take you a little time to figure out, but you always find the logic and you always find the reason. I don't know why it's repeating the citation several times. It shouldn't, right? And this is probably the first time that this happens to me. Anyways, so yes, so basically you can keep writing and citing, and it will supposedly always do the citations properly. These citations must be entered wrongly because the initials are here and they shouldn't be. There's always a logic when you find that this is happening. So yes, so I have already explained this. When you cite a source with 3 to 5 authors, what happens if you cite something that has more than 6 authors or more? For example, I have this one here that is Darling. So I'm going to show you what happens if you cite a resource that has 6 or more authors, such as, what is it? Such as, I'm trying to find the source. No, this one. Yes. So this one has a lot of authors, I know. So if I click and I insert the citation, you see, so it only cites Darling Hammond et al. 2017 because it knows that there are a lot of authors there. So if you want to change the format, all you need to do is you need to do right click, edit citation, and change the display. Sometimes when you're writing, sometimes you want to put, for example, an apostrophe or something. You can do all kinds of things. You can say, don't only cite the year. So I say insert citation, and I say, just put the year. Don't put the name of the author, because for whatever, you can say exclude author. So, and it only says 2017, but this knows that this is the same citation. So then the full reference will be at the end, right? Another thing you can do, there are lots of things you can do, right? So like I said, I'm just like introducing. You can enter a citation and then put the page number. So imagine that you are entering a citation with a literal quote, and then you enter the citation, and then you have the typical quote that is literal. So you just need to cite the page number, and then you say Darling Hammond 2010, and then you do right click, edit citation, and then you need to come to more. And then when you are in more, what you are going to add is a suffix, something that goes after. So all you need to do is enter comma, page, space, 12, parentheses. So you have added this comma, page 12, you say, okay, you see, and you've added, oh, I shouldn't have put the parentheses. So you just come again, edit citation, because the parenthesis is automatic. You see, there's always a logic. So comma, p dot, space 12. Perfect, right? Or imagine that you, for example, are writing something, and then you want to say, for a lit review, for an extensive review of this thing, read this source. So we just do edit citation, more, and now instead of suffix, we are going to add a prefix. So you would say, for an extensive review, please read. So just enter this, and all of a sudden this is part of your citation. Right, so these are different things that you can do with this. Good, so note how all the citations we're entering in this document can, oh yes, this is also very cool. So when you write something, when you have a document, this is actually very nice, because Endnote produces for you, you see in the place where I'm indicating here with my mouse, it says Endnote Workshop, which is the same title as my Word document, right? So my Word document is also called Endnote Workshop. So all the stuff that we have in Citing is here. So this is actually very useful when you're writing a paper or something, because it allows you to see very quickly all the resources that you are citing. And sometimes you realize, oh, I have so many papers, I have to delete this one because I have so many authors or repeated or something. So it tells you that in this document so far, we have 8 citations. So you could continue writing. So as you add more and more and more, and then you enter whatever you want. You just enter this one and this one and this one. Yeah, those. And then you just come here and then say enter selected citations. Very good. Sorry, I'm doing a disaster. So let's see how many more. You see, now we have 11 because we have added a few more. So if you just click here, you will see all the 11 citations that we have so far, right? Cool. Another super amazing thing of EndNote, right? EndNote allows you to cite in different styles, right? So right now, all my references here, everything is written in APA style. Most journals will accept APA style, but sometimes you change and send your paper to a different journals that just want a different style of citation. So it's great because all you need to do is to change the style here. So here is where you select the style that in which you want to see the citation. So, and the change will be automatic, right? So it's really, really good. You see, I mean, of course, now it's changing the style automatically. I don't know if I have the information entered proper in EndNote for this to be seen automatically, right? Of course, it looks very strange now, I don't know. But if you say Chicago 17th, so I'm not familiar with this. I'm only familiar with APA. So I don't really know how it looks. The most typical is APA, but it's a very good function to know that this can rewrite all the references for you automatically in the style that you need, right? Cool, very good. So I was here. Okay, the next thing I wanted to tell you, apologies because we are running a little bit late. So all the documents we enter will automatically be seen down will appear at the end. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to say, that all the documents appear over here. These are some important considerations, right? I said this already. If you need to enter the information right in EndNote. If at some point you see that when you are citing something, you see mistakes, you cannot correct those mistakes in Word. You need to go to EndNote and correct the mistakes in EndNote and then refresh. So all you need to do is go to EndNote, and then after you correct the mistakes in EndNote, you would click on here, update citations and bibliography, and then EndNote continue thinking, and then it will update all the mistakes here. So as I say here, mistakes in citations or references cannot be corrected in words. You need to make the modifications in EndNote first, and then you need to refresh, right? Good. Next thing, another interesting function is that sometimes, for whatever reason, you need to convert here in this document as it is right now. I cannot edit. These citations here, these references cannot be edited. I cannot change anything. I cannot change a comma. Also in the citations, I cannot change anything. So sometimes for whatever reason, you just want to change and convert the document into a plain text. So what this is going to do, it will keep the format of the references and citation. It will keep the italics, it will keep the separation, it will keep the format nice, but it's going to completely unlink it will completely unlink the Word document and the EndNote document. So once you convert, it will be it's not going to be an EndNote document. Now, if you come here, the good thing of EndNote is like, now you are here, you, for example, know that you have cited lamb. So if you reread the document and you decide to remove the citation because it's no longer interesting, so if you delete and then you update, it's going to also delete this lamb from the reference section. So it automatically updates all the fields together, right? So now I'm removing some, so it will be also removed from the final section. So I can just remove all of these ones and then update. So all of these will be removed automatically, right? You see that the number here in EndNote now is decreasing. Before it was 11, now it's just only 7. So it's really handy to have the EndNote document because it will update everything automatically. What I was now explaining is converting the document to plain text. So once you convert to plain text, it's completely independent. So it's just a Word document. So my advice, my suggestion is that you don't do this. Or if you need to do it for whatever reason before you send the paper to a journal or something like this, do it in the very, very, very last second when the document is already perfect and you are not going to modify anything. and then you can do the conversion to plain text. But it is very important that you always keep the EndNote version as well. Because imagine that you submit your paper to a journal and then they come back with revisions and then you review the paper. It would be much better if you have the paper in EndNote with all the EndNote, because you are going to use that version to continue to work on it. So it would be much better if you have the EndNote document. Cool. And then the final thing I want to share with you guys is about the share library. So EndNote is really cool because it allows you to share your library. So I have this library with almost 4,000 citations, which I share with a bunch of people, with students, with research assistants, with some colleagues in other countries when we write papers together. So now, this share library function is here in this little icon that you can see up here with a plus. So it allows you to share the thing with up to 100 people, 100 collaborators. You can see that here. You are sharing your library with 7 right now out of a possible 100, right? So when you share this with someone, the person just has access completely to your whole library. So what I say to my collaborators, I say, you are welcome to add new things, but please don't delete, because if you delete, you are also deleting from my library. So please don't delete, because you are deleting my resources. Anybody is welcome to put more, because it doesn't matter to me if I have 3,000 or 6,000. It's like just growing and growing. As long as it's well organized and everything, it doesn't matter. But basically, when I share this with Jerry later today or tomorrow, I will all of a sudden I will share with him 4,000 resources. So all of a sudden I simplify a lot his work, because he's not going to start from 0. He's going to start from all of this. So he will have access to all my database. So this is actually a really, really good feature. All right, so it's now 11. So I am sorry because I feel I went a little bit fast, and I hope I was more or less clear. I will be sharing the video with all of you guys later, for those of you who would like to review the explanation in case it was not very clear or something. So I'll send the video to everybody, and I really don't mind if someone wants to share with your students or colleagues or staff, it's totally fine. I am happy to answer your questions. So if someone, I'm going to now open my chat and see if anybody has any specific question. Everybody is welcome to unmute yourself and I will try to respond. And in the meantime, please, let's start asking if someone has any questions. I would really appreciate if you guys can give me feedback on this informal session, right? I know it was nothing fancy, but I think this was the easiest way that I had to share this. So please help me scan this QR code, and it's gonna take you 2 minutes, just simply answering a few questions.